I'll be taking you to the, some aspect Mr. Nagesh Kumar spoke, okay? What he has not covered, I am going to tell about the changes in climate, but I won't use models, okay? I live in present, I continue to live in present, so that's why model we use but not that extent, okay? And then I will bring out the linkages between the land cover and the water, okay? And then at the end I will tell you how our science has benefited the society, okay? So actually my talk was supposed to end at 2:50, now it is 2:55 or closer to 3, okay? Now when we talk about the managing the natural resources, one of the concepts we always talk about is sustainability. How do you manage the resources will decide the sustainability. My agenda of my science is to ensure that you all get clean air, water and environment. Not only you, your children and grandchildren also will get it. That's where you would have noticed I was reacting to overuse of plastic in the system. So I hope next time when I come to NITK, I will not be invited with the plastic, okay? So now, see, my solutions are simple, nature-based solution. I learn from nature and translate that into technology. That's where you see some of our interventions are very successful in the system. When you look at the nature, whether it's aquatic or the terrestrial ecosystem, you have a food chain. When you look at the food chain carefully, producer food, which is eaten by the next level, herbivore and then carnivore. Essentially the energy and material transfer happens from one level to other. That's what you learn in first law of thermodynamics. And whenever that the transition happens, there is a loss of energy due to respiration, etc. That is the law of entropy, the third law of thermodynamics we learn. And finally, whatever is left in the system gets converted into elemental form by bacteria and fungi. That's why in a nature, there is nothing called waste. Then where do you see waste? I'm asking a question. Where do you see waste? You will see waste where? Waste people are there. Okay, who are these waste fellows? You want to answer? Who are these waste people? Not those who abuse synthetic material for everything. They are the waste fellows because they are creating the mess in the system. Now let us see whether climate is changing. I talk only with the data. When I look at the data, temperature is increasing. That means there are changes in temperature and the changes in climate. Earth is becoming warmer. Okay? And if you look at what is the causal factor? The greenhouse gas emission and the temperature increase are correlated. When you emit more and more greenhouse gases, you are contributing to the changes in climate. Okay? So now what are the impact of these changes in climate? The disaster is happening and sea level is rising. So you are closer to the sea. If you visit this institution after 20 or 30 years to see your son or daughter studying here, you may not see the institution. The coastal erosion and sea level rise happens. Okay, that is a serious issue. Okay, now let's look at how it affects the biological productivity. The corals with 1.5 degrees Celsius, 70% of corals we lose, which will shoot up to 99% with another 0.5 degree Celsius increase in temperature. If you look at the insect, the plants and the vertebrate, we will lose 6 insects, 8 plants and 4 the vertebrates. The insects, I am not talking about mosquitoes and such things. I am talking about endemic species. For example, honeybees, the pollinators, which does the pollination, because of that you have food. Okay, we will lose that. Another 0.5 degrees, we will lose 18 insects, 16 plants and the 8 the vertebrates. Even if you lose your bulla, bannekai, that I am not surprised with that. Okay. Now the impact of that is drought. about 415 million people get affected because of the changes in climate, and sea level rise, which is 49 centimeter, will shoot up to 56 centimeter, and about 15 million people are going to be affected. You will notice that we will lose Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, and all these places because of the sea level rise. So now, to summarize what I said so far, you will see the frequent flooding and drought happening in the system. Flood happens during monsoon. Immediately after monsoon, you will see the drought. Yield in crop comes down, okay, and glacier melt happens, okay. Now, the food security is threatened. The water availability will be this. You might have money, but you will not have the food and water, okay. And cities become vulnerable. Coastlines will become more vulnerable, and other serious issue is public health. More and more vector-borne diseases like chikungunya, dengue, and COVID, all these things will make its appearance. So now, if you want to have a climate resilient system, let us be natural. If you look at the natural, traditional varieties of rice, in the neighboring district, Uttara Kannada, in one taluk I found 54 varieties. If I hybridize the varieties, which have fragrance and which have yield and pest resistant, I've got a better product. Similarly, brinjal. In one village, I have 16 varieties of brinjal. If I just do the hybridization, I get a better product. But instead of that, we want to have genetically modified crops. In that process, we become a slaves of multinational company. Unfortunate thing is, people have fallen in this one for the money. They have become so corrupt. In the process, we are losing the varieties, etc. Okay. So now, let us see which part of the earth is diverse. Okay. When you look at the number of species on the earth, as per the scriptures, 8 to 12 million species are there. That's only the document which talks about number of species on the earth, and even it talks about microorganism. In science, we have estimated about 1.3 million species. Out of 1.3 million species, we have assessed the biochemical composition of only 15%. Even before assessing the remaining 85%, we are losing them because of deforestation, degradation of the landscape, etc. This is my study region. If you look at from Kerala to Gujarat, we have been working. And if you look at which part of the earth has the highest number of plants and animal varieties, as you move latitudinally, you will see at 8 to 16 degree latitude, you have the highest number of plants and animal varieties, which corresponds to Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Goa part of the Western Ghats. That's what, what we have inherited. If we can pass it on to our children, we have done our job. We have no right to degrade it and give it to them the contaminated thing. So that is what we need to keep in mind, okay? So then you need to manage it. That's where science comes to the picture. So that system approach is ecosystem approach, okay? I'll come back to that later. So now, how the data helps? We launched the satellites way back in 70s. Every 21 or 30 days interval, we get a picture of the earth. Okay, now the data is available, temporal data is available, so it is freely downloadable, okay. So you can download the data and analyze the changes that is happening in the system, okay. Last 5 decades, we have used the data to analyze how the land use is changing from the one decade to the next decade. That is where we use a machine learning algorithm. Earlier during my PhD, to analyze one district, I used to take about 8 to 12 months. But today, my students, Vinay and others, they do the entire analysis of Western Ghats in a year time. That's how we are empowered with the latest, the improvement in geoinformatics through the artificial intelligence and machine learning. We need to take advantage of that. That is where the capacity building has to happen. Now when you see this, the forests are decreasing, green is declining. Not only green is declining, forests are also getting fragmented. Okay. Now, if this continues, what is the likely scenario? We have predicted here for 2031, which shows that entire Western Ghats will have the forest cover of less than 18%, and evergreen forest will be about 10%. And what is the likely implication? We predicted only for 10 years. it shows that Kerala will become warmer by 1 degree Celsius. And the rainfall pattern will change. Kerala gets a rainfall for 8 months, 6 to 8 months, it will start getting the lesser rainfall. And other serious issue is the changes in rainy days. Instead of you getting the rain spread across all the months of the monsoon, you will get it in few days in a week. Same quantum of rain in a few days, and since you have removed the forest cover, the landscape, the degraded landscape will start sliding. You will have landslides, mudslides, etc. When we wrote this article in 2018, I had written a paragraph about landslides and mudslides in Karnataka and the Kerala, etc. But I didn't anticipate that my prediction will come true in a few days. In 2019, within 6 months of publication of the article, landslides happened in Kodagu as well as in Kerala. So I thought the people started referring our article. I thought, okay, things are changing, but nothing happened. Last year, in Wayanad, the entire village was washed out. 150 families were washed away. That is where the tragedy happens if you don't apply the science in the decision making. Okay, now you understood how you can do the prediction of the land cover dynamics. Okay, then we also looked at the ecosystem services. For example, look at the carbon. You are all breathing. Okay, am I right? You are all breathing. No? Is there someone who is not breathing? Okay. So if you are breathing, you are giving out carbon dioxide. That carbon is sequestered by the plants during the photosynthesis. That entire earth, we have only one earth, and whoever emits the carbon, whether it's a fossil fuel burning or you are breathing, you get into the atmosphere because we have only one earth. Now that carbon is taken away by the forest on the earth. Now, for example, if you look at Western Ghats, we have done the quantification of above ground, below ground and soil carbon, which amounts to about 1.23 million gigagram. And every year, about 37,000 gigagram of carbon gets sequestered, which is equivalent to the emission that happens in Bangalore, the Chennai, the Trivandrum, Kochi, etc. Now, if I assign the money value, economic value to the carbon, it amounts to 100 billion rupees or a $1.4 billion. You might ask, what is the use of this work? When I represent the country as the country's representative in an international delegation, I always tell the Westerners, our forests are doing the job, you need to pay. Because you are industrialized, you emitted the carbon, and our forests have done the job of balancing it. You need to pay for the service what what we are providing. Okay. Now let's move to the next services, hydrological services. See, some of the things what I am talking, you may not get in any book. When the people talked about, when they looked at the vegetation or this one, they talked more about transpiration. They said if the forests are there, evapotranspiration is high. That's why all these engineers who graduated during my time, they just cut the tree because they want to store water in the reservoir. But I am countering that through this experiment. Okay. Now, when you look at the water cycle, you see that the role played by the vegetation, nobody has understood that. Okay, and it has two things. One is infiltration is one of the important processes in the water cycle, and the other one is you see the riparian vegetation which are there on the soil does the wonderful job of treating the water. See, when there is a surface runoff, non-point source pollution, as it reaches the water body, when it passes through the riparian vegetation, the treatment happens. That is what we call it as a phytoremediation. You go to Kumardhara and all, you will see the good riparian vegetation doing the silent job of treating the water. So now we understood what is the job done by the reserve. Incidentally, about 6 or 8 months back, Professor Manu came to my office on the hectic day. In the morning, I had one program in the chemistry department seminar hall. After that, I had half an hour gap. I was to go to another place. On my way back, I just went to the department near the gate. I took a vehicle and went to the other venue. But Professor Manu, what he did is he waited for me for almost more than 4 or 5 hours. When I came back from these 2 programs, somebody told me that a professor from NITK is waiting for me. I was surprised. I said, there was no communication to me, but he has come. Then I said, okay, he must have come for some conference. Maybe as a part of that, he might have tried to reach me the thing. So that's what, people who seek for knowledge or who seek for the information, whatever the problem, they will face it. 6 hours for a professor is a big time. But still he made it and met me, and then we had a discussion and okay. Now let me take you to the another level of analysis. Uttara Kannada district, the district where I had worked for almost 2.5 decades. We look at the bio, geo, climatic, all the variables, these are all there's a rainfall pattern, and this is the kind of if you look at the slope and all this one, all this are done by a person sitting in the front row holding the camera, okay, is Dr. Vinay. Okay, now if you look at the drainage network in the region, and this gives the catchment area for the 4 rivers. Now when you look at these rivers in the district, 2 are dam, 2 are not dam. Now if you want to see the impact of dam on the livelihood of the people, you have an opportunity to do that. So that is what we did. And if you look at the entire country landscape, it's a land of water. But unfortunately in the last 70 years we mismanaged and we are losing the water. And that's what in the morning also I said, people have not understood the simple water cycle. You might be surprised. When I was delivering a lecture, I was taking a class for a group of the faculty from Engineering Science College in Telangana. I asked what is the water cycle. My session, as I said earlier, is an interactive session. One gentleman got up. I thought he is going to tell me about the water cycle. I didn't ask the same question today. In the morning there were many presentations talking about that. When that gentleman got up, he told me, sir, you see outside. I saw outside thinking that it might be raining. There was no rain. He said, you see outside, people are carrying water pot and bicycle. When you carry water and cycle, it becomes water cycle. If you have such a person as a teacher, what can you expect about the next generation of youngsters, the Gen Z population? That is what the chaos in the entire globe, Bangladesh to Nepal and parts of India. The Gen Z population, because of all these half ideas, is get into the chaos in the system. Okay. Now look at the vegetation cover. See, this district has the highest, has a distinction of having highest forest cover in the country. 80% is under the forest. And if you see now, see, we go to the field, we divide the study region into grid, we select the grids based on the agroecological zone and carry out the detailed study. You can see the detailed study being carried out. You might even see Vinay doing some hydrological investigation in the region, etc. Okay, this gives the vegetation cover of the region and how the vegetation cover has changed from 1973 to 2008 using temporal remote sensing data we have analyzed. And if you look at how it has changed, look at 1973, 88% is a vegetation cover. When I talk about vegetation cover, I am talking about forest, not agriculture, etc. Then 1979, look at how things change, and 89, 99, 2010, 2013, 2018. Now you see that from 83% we have come to 50%. Okay, that's what the change. Here are the things, we have lost the forest. Wherever the green is there, we have lost the forest now. In that region, because of the dam, because of the teak plantation and all those things. Here in the population in the coastal area has increased, all those things has happened. Okay. Now look at the forest cover, which is evergreen, which was 67%, has come down to 29% over the last 5 decades. The region is ecologically sensitive, supposed to be protected as per the now, but even that district, you see the people have destroyed the forest. Okay. So now, how the forests are getting destroyed? You see, some fellow will go here and occupy. If no one asks the question, that 1 acre will become 200 acres in the next year. In fact, when I visited a place, I have noticed this happening. Okay, we have taken the action because I was a member of the Western Ghats Task Force. using remote sensing data, you can find out the various levels of fragmentation. Like this is an intact forest, this is a perforated forest, then the fragmented forest. Like that, various levels of fragmentation you can assess. How do you assess? You compute the fragmentation indices. PF and PFF. If PF is 1, that we use a kernel of 3 by 3 or 5 by 5. In that kernel, we compute the PF and PFF for the entire image. It is an iterative process. So based on that, we know where the fragmentation is happening, and this gives you the level of fragmentation. What was green today is more of the yellow patches in the entire district. And to summarize what I said so far, you can see the land use of 1973 and 2018, the forests are getting degraded, forest cover is declining and forests are getting fragmented. This is in the name of development. Our people have looted the resources. Okay, so now let's take up the scientific investigation of the water versus the forest cover. See, this is when I was a student, I had water, and because of the good vegetation cover. Now today in the same region, I don't have the water. Okay, in the same month, monsoon month. Now let us try to understand what could be the causal factor. Let us try to understand the landscape dynamic. Let me take you to one of the river basins, Sharavati River Basin. It originates at Ambutirtha, traverses 128 kilometers, joins the ocean. Now when you look at this, we constructed a dam way back in 1965. Now if you want to see whether the dam construction has affected the rainfall pattern and hydrologic regime, just download the rainfall data. 125 years of rainfall data is available online. You download the data, divide it to 2 time period, 1901 to 1964 and 1964 to today. When you see that 1901 to 1964, the entire catchment was receiving the rainfall of 3,000 to 4,500. Today, part of the catchment receives 3,000 to 4,500, while the other part receives 1,700 to 1,900 millimeter. We have reduced the rainfall by 50% here. And if you overlay the vegetation cover, wherever forests are there, the rainfall is retained. Wherever forests are degraded into catchment, into the agricultural land, and today it's a barren area, you see the stream density has come down, rainfall also has reduced. One part you will see a dense, lush forest, other part you will see the degraded landscape. Now you understood how it affects the rainfall. Now we divided this into subbasins based on the tributaries. These are the subbasins on the western side, these are subbasins on the eastern side. Let us look at the subbasin. What is the forest cover and rainfall? See, before that, let us also look at what is the water availability. We did the hydrological investigation for 36 months. We put the sensors to find out how much water gets infiltrated in the underlying layer. If the catchment is covered with the native species forest, other one with the monoculture plantation, other one with agriculture, with the crop plant, other one degraded landscape, like that, 32 locations. We monitored this one, and part of the investigation even our Vinay did as a part of his thesis. Okay, so our study shows that the catchment dominated by native species forest, because they are diverse, the roots are diverse. When the roots are diverse, soil microorganisms are diverse and abundant. While soil organisms are diverse and abundant, soil microbial activities is higher. When it is higher, soil becomes porous or permeable. That you can even assess through the bulk density and porosity, etc. Now when the soil is porous, it allows the water to percolate, it fills in the zone, the saturated zone, then it fills in the vado zone. In this region, you get the water because of the rain for 4 months. Then after 4 months, you see that water stored in the vado zone comes to the water body for 4 months. Then during summer, the water stored here comes to the water body for the next 4 months, which we call it as a base flow. Now 4 months plus 4 months, 12 months. Provided you have done allowed the infiltration to happen in the system. When you see the catchment is dominated by bed surfaces, there is no percolation of water. That's where they have the floods, and following that they have a drought. 8 months of drought, as it happens in Bangalore, Udupi, etc. Okay. Now if you look at subbasin wise rainfall, you will see on the eastern side, forest cover is 30, eastern side is this side, okay, western side is this. The forest cover is 30, rainfall is 1776. Whereas on the western side, forest cover is 65%, rainfall is 4800, or 60% rainfall is 4400, which establishes the linkage between the forest cover and the rainfall. And our hydrological investigation also substantiate the hydrological services provided by the forest. You see that streams will have water all the 12 months or A type when the forests cover the catchment to an extent more than 55%. If we convert the catchment into monoculture plantation, you will have the water for 8 months B type or 6 months C type. When we degrade the catchment with the forest cover less than 30%, you will have water only during the monsoon. So now we understood the linkage between the water and the vegetation cover in the catchment. Now to summarize what I said so far, here is the region where the water is available for 8 months. This is the region, green one are 6 months, yellow is green one is 8, yellow is 6, and this is 4 months. Just overlay the forest layer on that. Wherever forests of native species are there, 12 months water is there. Wherever forests are fragmented, depending on the scale of fragmentation, you have 8 to 6 months of water availability. Wherever forest cover is less than 30%, you have water only during the 4 months. Now let's look at the demand of the society. You see that people use water for drinking, irrigation, and livestock rearing, etc. When you quantify that, in this region where forests are there, you have the sufficient water because the demand bar is lower than the resource availability there. Here in the name of development, people have removed the forest, you have demand for water but there is no water. Now in this region, if you look at, there is about 68 to 74% of rainfall getting filtered. That is the water that is available in your wells and water bodies during the post-monsoon period. And here it's about 28 to 32% of rainfall getting filtered. This is the work what we published, countering all the earlier theories of all the whatever the vague theories people had put forward in the current sense. Of course, it has got a good citation also. So now we did for all the 4 river basins. You see that what we highlight is when the forest cover is more than 60%, water bodies are perennial. When you convert that water body, the catchment into monoculture plantation, you will have intermittent streams or the water body. When the catchment have the forest cover less than 30%, you will have only seasonal, the water bodies or seasonal stream. That's what it brings out across all the 4 things. When you do the temporal analysis of this, you will see this region is crossing the limit. Even the forests are getting degraded in the system. Okay, then we also looked at the ecologically sensitiveness, considering the biogeoclimatic and social variables, and you see that we looked at the fauna, flora, and all those things in the catchment. And then aggregated score, we divided the region into 4 levels: ESR1, ESR2, ESR3, and ESR4. Now whatever I said earlier, ESR1 are ecologically sensitive but has water for everyone all 12 months. ESR2 has the water for 8 to 6 months. ESR3 also 8 to 6 months, and ESR4 only the monsoon period. You might ask, what is the use of this? The farmers in this region can grow multiple crop or a cash crop because they have water throughout the year. Their earning is 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year. Whereas in this region, farmers can grow only one crop. Their earning is 32,000 rupees per acre per year. If your parents are the farmers, you will understand my statement. Okay? If you are an urban elite, you may not understand what I am saying. Okay? Now, the yield of the crop in this region, for example, paddy is about 14 to 18 quintal per acre, whereas in this region 6 to 8 quintal per acre. It is because of the pollinator. Here pollinators are abundant, because of that pollination is efficient, so you have higher yield of the crop. Whereas here it's a lower yield because pollinators are not there. See how it is linked one to the other, and finally it affects us. Okay, so now this I talked about in the morning about the fish and the frog. This is the frog which I said after fertilization of the egg, you will see the younger ones coming out. So that shows with the global warming and changes in climate, you will not have water on the earth. But when we talk about sustainability, renewability is one of the important concepts. Having younger generation is very important to have the sustainability. India is a strong country because 65% are youth. Okay, if there is the renewability in the system, then you cannot expect the sustainability, whether it's a fish production or this one. Now that's what when we notice, the human population will be wiped out on the earth with the water crisis, whereas you will see these organisms happily moving around. without the problem of humans. Okay, that's we will have all the sophisticated system. We'll leave it to them. Tomorrow you will see the frogs running the computer and talking about artificial intelligence, etc. Okay. Now, see, you have seen the Lord Shiva. Anyway, next in a few weeks you will have Shivratri. You will remember again, because we will remember only during that period. You know, Lord Shiva's head is always covered with hair. As long as the hair is there, he will retain the Ganga. You have water on the earth. So, understanding this linkage, you know, our elders, they conserved a patch of forest. They called it as Devarakadu or a sacred grove. Even here, closer to this place, there is a Devarakadu. You know, you have to remove your chappal and walk into the place. If you, by chance, if you walk in without that, you will end up doing some, you might face some crisis in that during that visit or immediately after the visit. So, now unfortunately this is being converted into idle land. You know, that is the thing. Now to summarize what I said so far, you know, as long as Mother Earth is covered with a green saree of native species, she retains the water for 12 months, we all will have water. When we convert that into synthetic saree of rubber, acacia, eucalyptus, you know, if you go to Sulia, land of encroachers are there, people have encroached the thing, converted forest into the rubber plantation. You know, evergreen forest is supposed to be there. The Sulia people have swallowed the evergreen forest, converted into the sun, and they have very concrete, big bungalows also along with that. So now that is where the tragedy is happening in the system. And when we degrade the catchment less than 30%, we have water only during the monsoon. Okay? Now, you know, if you want to learn sustainability, more than interacting with your teacher, go to the field. You will understand the sustainability. You know, I learned sustainability concept from this lady. She is about 65 plus. I watched them carefully. Every day she collects the bivalves, you know, in the estuary. She and her daughter-in-law. And she collects only one basket full of bivalves every day. I was curious. Two ladies, but they are not, they extracted more than one. When I asked her, she told me in a typical Kannada that, you know, when I sell this, the bivalves, what I have collected today, I earn 350 rupees, which is sufficient for me to run my family. For tomorrow, I will come and collect it again. That is what she is ensuring, the renewability in the system by not over harvesting. That is the sustainability concept. Not preparing a glossy report saying that sustainable management. But everything within that institution, if you look at everything, is the process is not sustainable. For example, you go to Infosys, they talk about sustainability, but they learnt it in a hard way. There is a building called Titanic building. What is that building? Titanic building? Glass building. Okay. You know, glass building is not suitable for this condition, but they will go for the Titanic. But now today they realize that electricity consumption is overshooting. They stop using that building. They use that as an ornamental, this one, that's it. So that they learnt it in a big way. Okay. So now with that, let me take you to the Kaveri. So the Kaveri catchment, we have done the study. I didn't know all these projects were there. Even before that we did the study. When credit should go to the Vinay and my other youngsters in my team. So why we did the study is there was a controversy about water sharing. We wanted to counter that. Okay. So the water allocation done by the Supreme Court, because as a peak person from Karnataka drinking Kaveri water every day, though it is pristine or polluted, it's okay, we are drinking the Kaveri. Because when I look at the water quality, as I move from Mysore to Bangalore, all Mysorean sewage is coming to the Kaveri, and Bangaloreans are drinking the sewage of Mysore. So that is the tragedy of the resort. So now, so we did the study and we looked at how the land cover is changed. Historical map we took 1965 and latest thing, and you see the forest cover which was 33% in 65. When we were just born, there is the thing. And today what is the thing? About 17% is the forest. That is the root cause of the problem in Kaveri. Losing the forest cover and allowing the degradation to happen in the Kaveri basin is the root cause. See, we published it. I put it online. You know, as soon as I published the article, I put it online, and of course I shared with this team also. So in the IISc component, I thought that they will ask for a dialogue, but so far they have not come back, because people who are involved in the analysis are not read our articles still. Okay. So now, see, this gives the dense vegetation versus the degraded vegetation over a period of time. Available online, this publication, you can have a look at it. And we did the land use analysis 2016 to 2023. And it shows the degradation happening in the system, okay. So if you do the Kaveri land use dynamics, you will get our article, okay. It's available online. And we also looked at the flora, fauna. And when I was talking to Professor Manu the other day, when he came to my office, he said that we are supposed to get all this information, put it in the report form and submit it to the government. What my student did it in 6 months, 3 years spent, likely to be extended by 2 more years. Sir, I am not criticizing. I am telling you the strength of my team. People like Vinay and all the people how they worked in the system, okay. So, and of course they sustained the pressure of mine. Even Chandan has tasted that. So now they look at the Kaveri verdict. See, Tamil Nadu 419 TMC, Karnataka 270, and Kerala 30. Okay, Pondicherry, and then so-called this one. You know, available the water availability at 50% dependability is about 740 TMC. That's what they have looked at. And if you look at the catchment distribution, 51% is in Tamil Nadu, and we have about 42% in Karnataka. Whatever the rain falls in our area, we are storing it in the dam. That's how we have the water. It is like this. See, you construct a house with a rainwater harvesting system in your house. Your neighbor has not done that. When the monsoon, after monsoon, he doesn't have water. He will go to the court and he will say, my lord, I don't have water, my neighbor has so much water, you give me the water. The judge, without thinking, he will say, granted. You take the water from him, you have to pay for it, because you have stored rainwater in your house, which he also is supposed to enjoy. But we are not asking why he didn't store, why only we have to this and that. See, this kind of thinking is not coming in our system. That's why we have the problem. Okay. So now we have done the crop distribution, what are the crops in the region, and then what is the water demand in the thing. Inefficient irrigation and inappropriate cropping is the root cause of the problem. So that is where we came up with the thing. Suppose if you have alternate scenario, if you have climate resilient and less water crop, how you can change the scenario? You know, 1102 TMC is the demand, and if you look at the supply to demand ratio is 0.45, you can meet only the 50% of the demand. Then if you have another, you know, removal of sugarcane and reduce paddy by 50% and grow the pulses of millet, which are water less required, this one, you know, they are climate resilient crop, then you will see that ratio is 0.68. Then if you remove it by 75%, you see the 0.94. And if you are going to completely remove that, then you will see the surplus situation. What the judges should have done? You are overdrawing because of sugarcane, etc. Instead of that, he told the Karnataka, because we are storing in our, because we had a stalwarts like Vijayeshwaraya, he constructed a dam and we have water stored in our dam. But they didn't have the thing. Of course, those people only came to Karnataka, did the planning also. To some extent, they have done the thing. Okay. So now, how do you take this? Now you understood the importance of the thing. That's where the, you know, science can reach the advocacy and decision making. We developed the decision support system to which part of the Western Ghats is ecologically sensitive and important from hydrological point of view, biodiversity point of view. You know, we divided the entire Western Ghats into 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid and 9 km by 9 km. In each grid, we looked at various variables like land use, then ecology, geoclimate, and the energy, environment, and hydrology, all this social variable, all this we integrated. So for example, you divide into the thing, you look at the forest cover. Whichever grid has higher forest cover, you assign weight of 10. Like that we did for various, this is flora and fauna in the Western Ghats, and you see that the wherever the flora is higher, we have assigned the higher weight, fauna also. So then the carbon in the region, and if you look at the endemic flora, the tree, higher in Kerala, following that Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, etc. And if you look at the fauna, Karnataka has a higher wild animals, sometime on the road also. Okay, and then the Kerala and the Tamil Nadu, etc. Okay, now we integrated all those things. We have the score ranging from 1 to 100. Highest score 70 and above, we said ESR 1. Okay, 50 to 70 ESR 2, like your CGPA. Okay, the similar way we did the grading. And now you can see which are the region ecologically sensitive, one red. Then ecologically sensitive region 2, the dark green, the 3 ESR 3, and 4 is the ESR 4. Okay, now we also have the information at village level. Then if you recall, for ecological sensitive region mapping, Professor Gadgil committee was there, they did it at taluk level. Then Kasturbangan committee report was submitted to dilute the Gadgil committee report. Then as per the report, each state government was supposed to give a list of the villages that has to be considered as ecologically sensitive to the Supreme Court. When Supreme Court asked, none of the state government did. Then since I am in the Green Tribunal as a member, one of the expert member told me, see the TVR, look at how the state government, they are not responding to the NGT, we should do something, can you do something? Then I said, no problem, my students are there, we will develop it, and not only we will give it to the court, we will also make it available to the public on this earth. Okay, anybody who is interested can have a look at it. That is what the decision support we develop. You can visualize, you can select the state, you can select the district, and then the taluk in that district and villages, and you can see whether it is ecologically sensitive or not. Suppose if you choose the villages which I said was washed away in the Wayanad, you will see that is completely red. You know, if we don't respect ecologically sensitive region, you know, we are going to pay the heavy price. That's what the message from the Idukki, this one, you see, why not this one, what we saw was this one, the problem of the thing. See, that's where I always say, respect Mother Earth, you will see sustainability and resource availability. Respect Mother at home, your home will be prosperous. You know, when the child is born, if we teach the child to respect Mother, you will have prosperity at home. The child which has learned how to respect Mother at home will also learn how to respect Mother Earth for the sustainability of resources, for the welfare of the entire society. You can do the assessment of all the criminals on the earth versus the non-criminals. Okay, you will see the people who have respected Mother at home are non-criminals. They worry about each of their steps. The people who have not done it, they are the criminals. You know, they become criminals. Okay, so now we also developed the app in Google, which is available in Google Play Store, called Sahyadri. You know, you can download, and that's how we met the result. You know, I launched this portal in a remote village in Shimoga. I was invited to deliver the KV Subbanna Memorial Lecture. Deliberately I did there to see whether my science reaches the destination of Delhi. Believe it or not, within a month there was a question in the parliament regarding this. That means the message has reached the Delhi. Not only that, the government of India sends a committee on ecological sensitive assessment committee to my lab asking for further details. So when I gave the explanation and all the thing what I did so far, the committee chairman said, I am going to meet the forest minister of Karnataka tomorrow. 2 points I am going to highlight to him. One is the carbon and the other one is the water. The carbon, you know, if I tell him that Karnataka can make big money with the forest cover, and for that reason he has to accept the Kasturbangan Madhav Gadgil committee report. You know, as we anticipated, next day when he met, evening there was some conference. The forest minister, Mr. Kandre, who always have the black, the goggles, who doesn't see anyone else except himself in that goggles. Okay, he said that he will accept the Kasturbangan committee report. See, now that has come to the policy making. Okay, now we also prepared the details about each the app in various languages. We have put it online. You know, even video recording is there. You can download and you can see that. Okay. Now let's look at what is the worth of the ecosystem. You know, when you understand the value of the ecosystem, then only you will start. Suppose if Shah Rukh Khan has to come to your place, you may have to pay 10 lakh rupees per 10 minutes kind of thing. Okay. Now you know the value of Shah Rukh Khan. If he says, no, I will come, you don't have to give me anything, I will make my own travel arrangement like me, then you don't even care. So that's what happens in the system. Now let us see the worth of this ecosystem. How do you assess? you will find out the tangible benefits, which are provisioning services. Then regulating and cultural are the non-tangible benefits, like regulating carbon sequestration, oxygen production, the climate moderation, etc. Cultural is the recreation and education, etc. Now combination of all this is called total ecosystem supply value, which we call it as a GEP, gross ecosystem product. Those who know little bit of economics know that there is a metrics called the GDP, which is also called gross domestic product. For me it is a gross distorted product. That is mainly because when you set up a particular industry or a layout in the thing, you are destroying the forest or ecosystem. You do not account that. You will show only the production from the industry. You need to account the degradation cost. That becomes the green GDP. That is what we have been working on that. Okay. Now, if you want to see the worth of the ecosystem, take a simple example, lake. When the lake was there, people were getting groundwater at 80 to 100 feet. When the water body was removed, it went down to 600 feet. Today in Bangalore, people have gone down to 1900 feet and there is no water, which illustrates there is a linkage between the water availability to the lake in the system. Okay. Now you might ask, if I rejuvenate the lake, will I get back the water? See, Sarki Lake was rejuvenated. Within a year of rejuvenation, the groundwater table improved from 920 feet to 610 feet. That means 310 feet increase in the water table has happened. You know, after 3 years, when the entire Bangalore was facing severe water crisis, that is last year with a high temperature, you know, Sarki Lake had water and surrounding groundwater was also there. And because of high moisture content, temperature in that locality was at least 2 to 3 degrees lower than the surrounding temperature. So that means the lakes helps in moderating the climate also. Okay. Now let us look at how many lakes and water bodies are there in Karnataka. As per our assessment, 39,000 water bodies are there in. See, when I was writing the book, I wanted to include a chapter on the lakes. You know, we were working on some parts, Western Ghats of Karnataka and Bangalore like that. I told 2 of my students, can we do it for the entire Karnataka? You know, believe it or not, in 6 months they completed the entire exercise. That is the, you know, the youth power. As a teacher, our responsibility is to mold them and motivate them. They can do this kind of assessment. Okay. Then we did the assessment, provisioning, regulating, cultural, and if you look at, you see that we get the refund to the extent of about the 234 billion rupees per year from the water bodies in Karnataka, or it amounts to about 10 lakh rupees per hectare per year. You know, if you have a water body, if it is 100 hectare, you can just multiply 10 by 100, you got the worth of that water body. You know, or the NPV is about 7,320. You know, if you keep 1,000 rupees in a bank at 10% interest, you will get 100 rupees. Okay, now to get 100 rupees every year, you have to keep a principal amount of 1,000 rupees. Similarly, to get a 284 billion rupees every year, what is the worth of that asset? You know, that is the NPV, net present value, which is about 7,320 billion rupees. See the worth of the ecosystem. See how it will help when I talk to them about this, the people will run away. You know, Aravali Hills, we just told, what is the worth of Aravali Hills? Very next day, Government of India also withdrew this one. You know, that is the change that happens. Even in Maharashtra, in Mulamata catchment, I just told them what is the worth of the catchment. Now, on that day, forest, the officials and irrigation, everyone was there. They were interested in the riverfront project. See, there the bushes and all those things are there. That does the greater service of water retention, etc. And you know, it's a roosting sites and the breeding site for the animals, etc. They want to remove that, put the concrete wall. And for them, looking concrete is, you know, that are concrete-headed fellows. They look at this one. Whereas people like us who are natural, when we look at natural thing, we get more excited in the thing. So for them, I told them what is the worth of the ecosystem. Now, all those officials who are there, they assured me that they will really look at the waterfront. I told them that when you really look at it and take a wise decision, you also inform the chief, who is also leading the country, who is interested in the waterfront project. You all know who it is. Okay. Now we also know what is the worth of the ecosystem, the coastal as well as the inland. You know, we did the assessment of that. Okay. So now I am in the last leg of my talk. What is how the science has reached the destination? You know, I have given a wastewater treatment based on the nature-based principle. Rainwater harvesting, okay, then creating water body to retain the water, and also many forests in each region, and whatever we have learned, now we have communicated to wider section of the society. So now see, in this lake at Jakkur, surrounding the Jakkur lake there were 25 wells in 2005. When I analyzed the water quality, when my team analyzed the water quality, we found the nitrate in the water. Nitrate is a carcinogen which introduces cancer. At the time I put the government of Karnataka to rejuvenate the lake, and they put me as a member of the committee. That gave an opportunity to deploy my technology in this thing. I included constructed wetland and algal pond. My students monitored this system for the last 12 years. Today surrounding the lake there are 300 wells are there. None of them are contaminated with nitrate. I have a satisfaction of giving a science with a clean water to at least those 300 well users. Okay. Now if you, all of you in Dakshin Kannada, in your home, no, bathroom is there. Then outside there is all the banana, coconut plants are there, and some bananas, etc. And then well is nearby. You go and assess the well water. It will not have contaminant because of the banana plant and coconut and bananas have, or Kesa has removed all the contaminants. So that is the job, the remediation, and the same principle I deploy. This is economically attractive. Compared to this wastewater treatment of tertiary, which is capital intensive and energy intensive, this is a low cost. And it has become successful. Now we are trying to see that it is implemented in all lakes in Bangalore. Okay? Now, how much water is available in Bangalore? We get rain of 700 to 850. If I harvest the rainwater, I have 15 TMC of water. Bangalore requires 18 TMC. That means 70% of the water available in requirement of the water can be met from the rainwater harvesting through the lakes. See, there are two ways of harvesting rainwater. One is rooftop harvesting. You will have the water for 4 to 6 months at home. Additional thing, if you can rejuvenate the lake and retain the rainwater, at community level you have the water. So now we have said there are 216 lakes in Bangalore. If we rejuvenate, we can retain the 15 TMC. And if you use the wastewater treatment similar to the Jakkur model, 18 TMC of water you are using, 18 TMC wastewater you are generating, you will get 16 TMC of treated water. That means 18 plus 16, you have 31 TMC of water in a place where the 15 plus 16, the 31 TMC of water is there in a place where the demand is 18 TMC. This is a sustainable and a long-lasting solution. For that, I have a 5R formula. First R is a responsible citizen. When people are responsible, they rejuvenate the lake so that I can retain the rainwater, and they will allow the reuse of the wastewater treatment. That's what. And this has become quite popular. Whenever there is a crisis in any city, people just start talking about my model. Okay. So now, if you come to the campus, you will see the lake in our campus. This is a lab for our student who works on biofuel. Not only students are happy, even I have water in the campus. It stores 10 lakh liters of water every year. I stay on the campus. What is my water consumption? 500 liters a day. That means in a year I require about 1.2 lakh. That means 10% of the water consumed by me is put in the lake there. If every Indian, if every citizen puts back the thing, there won't be water poverty in the system. Okay? And you see that in Mudbitare, this saint was worried there was a water crisis during 2014-15. When I was traveling in 2015, he met me. 2016 early, I was in St. Aloysius College. He met me and he asked me, there's a water crisis, what shall I do? I said, you are a saint, you can solve the problem. He said, no, that is not possible. I want scientific solution. I said, scientific solution means there are 32 lakes in Mudbitare, you rejuvenate it. Do the desilting, you will not see the water poverty, I said. Then he said, how will I do 32? I said, at least 2 you do. Remaining 30, I will take care. As I predicted, he did 2. Remaining 30 were done by the people, local people, as a part of Shramadhan. And last year, when the entire Karnataka faced the severe water crisis with the green drought, Mudbitare didn't face water crisis. In addition to that, he also said that he has 12 acres of land. When he said 12 acres of land, I told my student, Vinay and all were there, he said, let us stay in this campus today. We will do the topography survey and catchment analysis and give the report to him. We gave a report. That is within a week we did the analysis and we gave a report to him. I said that June 5th is going to rain. If you create the water body before that, you will have water for the next year, I say. As I anticipated, he created a water body, and the success is because of the youth. The youth plays a very important and decisive role if they have brain. Okay, if they have given brain to the mobile, they will become useless entities. Okay. Now, when I saw the youth are these motivated youngsters in Alwar, I saw the CEO is also quite young. Then what we did, we convinced the CEO to create a water body in his campus, which stores 25 lakh liters of water, and also he did a planting of native species. He took up the planting. When I visited campus next year, I see greenery with abundant water and smile on our face. Even yesterday while coming, we spent 2 hours in the campus just because of that feeling. They listened to us, they implemented it, we were so grateful to them. The positive thing is, because majority are youth here, I am telling you something very interesting, you listen to this, okay? See, this gentleman was quite young, about to get married, but not happening. Unlike Bangaloreans, Bangalore youth, they'll get married through the Facebook. All these faceless fellows, next month they will be filing divorce paper. But this man, he didn't go for that. But after creating this water body, I had jovially told him, at least end of the year I will see you. In fact, these youngsters have witnessed my comments, okay? They have travelled with me. So, as I predicted, in 6 months, he gets a partner, wonderful partner who take care of the joint family. Even when I go there, she doesn't want me to stay in the hotel or in the guest house. She wants me to stay at home. Whereas if in Bangalore, if I go knock at door, they say we are not at home. Then who is speaking from inside? Have they put devil inside or what? See, where culture is missing, you see the unpleasantness happens. That's why the science, society, culture and spirituality should go hand in hand. If you want to see the prosperity in the region, that's what through this experiment we demonstrated that. We were attending the Bharat, the science Sammelan, the day for yesterday. They were talking about science and spirituality. I told one of the organizers, not just science and spirituality, you should have the culture and the also. Then only you will see the prosperity in the system. Okay? Now, I am in the last 2 minutes. If you come to my campus, you see this climber. I was fascinated by this architecture. I took the spot which had 14 seats. Out of 14, I planted 7 in 7 places. Other 7 I have kept in my lab. If somebody comes and says, no, then I can show them, okay? So, then out of 7 which I planted in various parts of the campus, only 1 place it has survived. Where it has survived? Next to the building where I worked for 2 decades, which means even the plants know who will take care. Can you imagine this? Huh? So, in front of this building, we created a mini forest in 2 hectares area, 49 native species, 500 sapling we planted way back in 90s. At that time, it was infested with Parthenium. Groundwater table was 150 feet. Today, we don't have Parthenium. Groundwater table is 10 to 15 feet. It doesn't mean that Parthenium removal has led to the groundwater. No. The vegetation of native species led to the groundwater recharge. Temperature is another 2 degrees lower. And you see that your friend is also there. 4 families of slender lories and varieties of snakes and birds are there in the campus. That's where we do the good science, okay? And what we learn, we communicate to the wider section of the society. Probably we have conducted the event popularly known as Know Your Ecosystem in various schools and colleges. The last 20 years, 588 events we have conducted in various places. Okay, and about some of the places, my audience is as high as 2,000 to 3,000. When I go to Alwar, minimum 1,500 youngsters listen to me, and we conducted a course popularly known as the environmental management. Last 23 years I have conducted the course. Sir, you talked about my book. Based on the book, we are offering at the Center for Continuing Education. This is in addition to my regular teaching. Okay, I teach 2 subjects. In addition to that, I am doing this is out of my own wish. I want to make more and more people environmentally literate. When they are environmentally literate, they become sensible. When they become sensible, they will be responsible. That is my agenda. When they are responsible, they think of their mother, they think of the country. So that's what we are doing, so that responsible citizens are the asset of the nation. We are creating more and more such assets in the system through this environmental education. So we also conduct a symposium once in Chuya, popularly known as Lake Symposium. 14 events we have done. Can you imagine any faculty in your institution doing 14 events, international event of 1,000 people, and also publications and all, not just only the event. Otherwise they will think that you are an event manager conducting a 14 event, you must be an event manager, you know. So, and uniqueness of the event is 1,000 to 1,200 participants. 30 to 35% are the school and college students. They do a simple experiment like carbon sequestration assessment, water quality, water body monitoring, etc. You know, kids are trained by my students or postdoctoral fellows. They go to field, they collect the sample, analyze, they prepare a scientific document. When they are in 8th standard, 7th standard, okay? And the children in rural areas, they do the neighborhood mapping. Even in this district and neighboring district, the children have done the neighbor biodiversity mapping. You know, our work also had made sure one of the wetlands in Uttar Kannada district has got Ramsar tag. We didn't have the Ramsar wetland. You know, our 2.5 decades research, what we did is we converted that into a report, which I submitted to the Ramsar Secretariat and Government of India. With pursuing the matter for almost 1.5 years, almost every month I was talking to all these fellows. I was successful in getting the Ramsar tag, and it was declared as a Ramsar wetland of international importance on 30th of January last year. It's almost a year now. Okay? So, and also the various conservation thing, we got the marine sanctuary in one of the laterite hills in the Western Ghats. And these are the 2 publications. You know, science, research goes hand in hand. When you do the good science, you have a good output so that you can also publish in good journal. You know, in the Nature we published the 2 articles last year. One is on Goa and other one in Bangalore. If you see that Vinay, who is sitting here doing the photography today, is an excellent researcher. He did that wonderful job in this one. If you look at how the Bangalore is becoming a concrete jungle, we did that, okay? So if you need more detail, these are the portals, you can go and look at it. And this is the email, you can write to me for any additional information. You know, the agenda of my this one, you know, whatever we have done, we have made it available to the public. You see that I have a Sahyadri e-news here. You will see one of the issue, I think 90 or 91 issue is on Kaveri River. So normally when people do detailed analysis, nobody puts it online. But we thought that from the country's point of view, it is required to disseminate the knowledge. That's where we put it online, okay? So now when you access that web page, you will see all my publications online, up to date, okay? And my talks are available online, so in YouTube, TED Talk is there, 15 minutes, etc. And also in some schools and colleges, we have created a water testing lab. Don't think that I am the Tata or Birla, but whatever the money I have got in the form of the award, I have put it in the schools, hoping that children get the benefit. Because I felt that that money has come without my expecting it. That should go back to the society for the benefit of the society. Okay? See, agenda of my science is to sow the seeds of knowledge in this young brain, and they become sensible and responsible, and they become asset to the nation. That's what I'm hoping for. And when they do become responsible, they do a wonderful job. That's where the smile is there on everybody's face. That is what our science is for. Thank you very much.